Okay, guys, this is a little bit of predefined. We need this video recording for different purpose. That's why I'm just taking a bit of a snap of the class at the beginning, but most of the time it will be focusing on me. We will do something very interesting today. Before going to do anything, let me introduce myself. My name is Shafiul Alam, and I was like you before. I finished a diploma back from my country, and then come here and did a certificate for diploma, bachelor degree. Those a bit of long journey I have done, and all of those certification I did from TAFE. And then when I finished diploma from Petersham, actually, I immediately joined in a company, software developing company, and I have been working here around 2.5 years. So that's a little bit of an introduction about me. Now, today, what I will do, I will introduce you guys a technology that is very popular in the industry and very demandable. They're looking for that. So the title was before decoupling WordPress with AngularJS. You know you may have heard about AngularJS, but we will see how it works today, okay? So I want you to guys just give a bit of sign in on these papers, everyone, please. And I'm giving you 3 papers. One will be for the feedback. I want you guys to give me please the feedback. And another paper you have to write some answers, just 4 answers. What you understand, like there will be 4 or 5 questions. And just write down whatever you feel better understand from the class, And there will be another paper we will go through when we will do the practical. So this is the practical instruction paper. So let me distribute that to you. Okay. Being live. Yeah.
Goodness.
Okay, screen is up. This is the paper you might probably understand. It's okay, it's all again with the practical, okay?
All the pens are stolen. Lots of pens. You want me to? Rob, you need a pen?
There's nothing else.
Right here.
So. Ask Kurt. Right. Should have known they give you.
Oh yeah. You don't have any.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So I already told you that we will talk about how actually decouple a WordPress platform, and then we can build a very interactive website. We will not able to finish all the things, but what I can demonstrate to you that the main important part, okay? So this is the link. Please maybe you can take a picture or whatever it is, because this link, I uploaded these slides because the time period is very limited here. I will not able to actually present all the presentation. So if you download that, it will give you all the details in instruction later what you need, okay?
Could we get the PowerPoint file at the end of your presentation?
Yeah, I can, but this is also in the Google Drive.
Good.
Yeah. So let's, before going to the topics, we always have to be careful about work health and safety, because safety first, remember, don't be rushed, safety first. And you are not only responsible for your own safety, you are also responsible for people who are around you. So be careful about safety when and wherever you work. Now, after finishing the session, you will able to understand, you will able to define what is the representation of state transfer API. You already maybe heard about that word REST API a lot. So I believe you will be able to explain, you will be able to define what does that mean, okay? And then you will be able to understand the production environment. What is the production environment? That is very important, because if you don't have production environment, you can't produce anything. And another thing is basic use of REST API, WordPress REST API I'm talking about. We'll do one use. There are multiple use cases, but we'll one use and then we'll try to demonstrate it later. I will get some time. And we will install AngularJS in front of all of you. So you will do from the scratch, and I will need one of you as a volunteer. So you will install the AngularJS using my computer, because my computer is already been configured for the production. Producing an application. So I'll call any one of you, please come and do, I just will explain and you will do yourself, okay? And lastly, I will demonstrate to you how actually WordPress can be decoupled, using an AngularJS. So that's the things. Now, before going to talk about REST API, what you guys need to know is client and server. We know, everyone maybe recognize. Anyone doesn't heard this word called client and server? Anyone here didn't hear about that before? All of you guys know about these two words. But what actually in real life it is? The real life is actually a human sitting on a computer, in front of the computer, and sending a request. And there is somewhere a server. Server means there is a database, there is an application like WordPress using PHP language, and then they have some authorization and authentication procedure, and then they return back the data based on the request sent by a human, isn't it? So normally you do browsing like facebook.com.au, this is happening. So there is some SSL connection, there is an encrypted data, there is an ISP, internet service provider, and that's how you connect it to the server and you get respond back. But now the world is changed actually, So they are using, but all these components being delivered, like using this MySQL database server and also PHP application server and Apache HTTP server. Some of the word may be a little bit of difficult to understand for you, but it's okay, So this is some kind of server serving you some data, that's it. But what I'm trying to tell you that all happening when a human actually browsing some website, isn't it? But now the world is changed because human doesn't browse anymore. So the information is being required by a machine. You know, you have mobile phone. Every day you see the update of the weather. Every day you see some email automatically come to your desktop application and saying, I have an email for you. Okay? So why? You didn't send any request to the server, but it's automatically coming to your machine and machine telling you the information. So this is where the world is changing. So humans are not anymore interacting with the server. So machine need to interact with the server now. And that's where actually REST API comes to act, you know. So what it does, REST API does, it is basically doing this circle, you know. So this is a circle. So what happening here? So a human sending a request to the application, not anymore directly to the server, and then an application send request to a server, so REST API, and that send request to the server and get back data and process back to the application, and then the human actually read it. But why? We'll see a little bit after. Why we need that? Why we need this? Because we need something to achieve. So, on the other hand, you have actually called in tablet, computers, mobiles, and also all these machines like IoT machines, you know, Internet of Things. They need to send data. They need always some data to receive, and they need always some data to send, you know. And that's why actually REST API acts. So what happened? When the sending a request, the response should be understood by this machine, doesn't it? If the response is not understandable by a machine, then machine cannot process. So what REST API does, it gives you a response which is understandable by these machines. That's the main thing REST API does. So how does it do that? So if you see here, so I missed one slide. Sorry. Okay. So how does it do that? Actually, if you see this one, I just missed one slide. This one is the explanation. So the machine sending a request to a link that is called REST API endpoint, and that REST API endpoint basically have a method called get, put, delete, post, a different method, HTTP method. We'll talk about that later, but you just remember they use a method, and that method actually executes in the REST API, and it returns back a data called JSON formatted data. So once you get the data, basically these data can be understood by a machine. So that's where the REST API acts. So what does actually REST API do? It processes a request and send back a data which is understandable by a machine. So I actually put a definition there. It's saying REST API is a program basically. The program can be accessed via an endpoint. Endpoint means this URL. And then that use a method and represent or respond to data such a way that machine or program can understand and process for human, you know, needs actually. So process the data and give feedback to the human. That's all it does. So we will see why we need this, because in this architecture we can see here that a lot of IoT devices, they are actually connected together. So a light, a traffic light is needed because you have an app in the mobile phone saying, okay, you can't go through this road because this road has 10 minutes delay. How does this information come to your phone? So that's where REST API works. So this light, traffic light, and all this GPS information, they are machines sending to the REST API, storing to the database, and that these machines is coming to this way, and that share this data and give you the feedback. So that's where REST API contribute, okay? Now, if we talk about now WordPress, why WordPress? What is the actually relationship, all this concept? What is the relationship between the WordPress and all this machine and all these things? So think about it. If you build a website, think about it, which is built on a WordPress, and you have a mobile app. Now you're posting something there. The mobile app is installed with some user, like some user have that app installed in the mobile. You post it there and it pop up there automatically, saying, okay, what is your name, friend?
Wrong.
Rom actually posted something in his blog, something, phone, and you tap it and you open it in your phone. You don't have to go to the browser to browse it and read it. You know what I mean? So that's why REST API is important. So think about it. Now, a big organization, big news agency, big TV channel, they're using WordPress technology because all of their web content developed using the WordPress. Now they need an app, and they need to just propagate all those data to those mobile users. So what you have to do? You have to just build a REST API, and you can connect them, because the REST API can send back a data which can be understood by a mobile phone. So that's the concept, okay? Now we don't have enough time to develop a mobile app, but what we can do, we can create a web app which will be same like development process of a mobile app. So we will use the REST API, and then we just put that data into that web app, and that's how we decouple them. So let's talk about a little bit of decoupling. But before going to there, I just wanted you to tell these things. So what is this? These are the API endpoint, which actually, if you send a request to this endpoint, that return you a data, and that data looks like this. A bracket, a curly bracket, and inside this colon and something like this, So that is called JSON data. So if you send this, I will show you, that will return you this kind of response, which is called JSON response. And why actually we need this decoupling, and what is decoupling? So now we have a website, we have all together, like there is a web HTML page, and every page is, you already did, isn't it? You already did develop a WordPress website, and you actually put it there like a CMS, like you have a database, you have some template, you have some theme, all are combined together, and then you loading the page. That's how you did. So that's called normal CMS, WordPress or CMS. But here you can see difference. So you have your database and all the like you can say like administrative sections. Like you logged in and you can see you have post. You can post there. You can update. You can edit. You can add a lot of things after logging into the dashboard, into WordPress or admin into the WordPress. But now we will use a third-party application like a machine. This is like a machine, this like a third-party application which automatically sends the request to this to get certain data. Why we need that? Because think about it. If you load a page, it is loading all the content, and it takes like 3 or 4 seconds to load. But what you need just particular content. You don't need to reload the menu. You don't need to reload the sidebar. You just need something in between. So that's why a decoupled is very important. I'll show you a little bit of demonstration here that can explain to you that what is actually the uses of this REST API. So see, this is a blog. This blog is developed using Angular 6 and REST API behind. So what it looks, see, if you click on any blog post title, it immediately gives you a completely different, actually I have no internet at this moment, sorry. Let me connect to my to internet. So, because this data is coming from internet as well, so I have to connect to the internet. Okay, it is connected. Oops. Okay, so we have, because this is a Angular app, we have to run this app in a production server. So we have a program called git bash. I'll explain you a little bit later that how can you use this program, and then so we basically log in, we basically going into the folder where the application is. So my application is inside the wp-angular-app. So this folder actually holding that application, Angular.js application, and then we put this command. I will do this again when someone will come and will do this process, okay, slowly. But now I'm just showing you why actually we need this decoupling. So what actually decoupling, this is running, so let him run. So what is decoupling mean? It's loading the content into your website which only you need. So it increased like 10 times, the performance is increased like 10 times. Yeah? And the user experience is become like so convenient. So you click and if the blink of eye, you get your content in front of you. Whereas when you're loading the default website, it takes like 4 or 5 seconds or maybe sometime more, then it's the user experience not become so interesting or so good, you know. So this is actually the blog, and the blog, if I click like a blog, so if you go down there, you see all the content on the bottom. Now if you click on any blog post, see its blink of eyes, the content is completely changed. Now if you click on the blog heading again, now if you blink of eyes, that all the content is changed in between. See the user experience here? So that's where the people actually loving to have this decoupling section. Not only decouple allow you to do this, but also it allows you to build a app or some third-party application to do more propagation into different devices. So let's come to this PowerPoint again and finish that, and we'll go jumping on the practical. Oh, sorry. So the decoupling, so we understand the decoupling. Decoupling is allowing you to load the content particularly what you need. That's all it does. Now, the importance of decouple, there are a lot more importance of decoupling. We already talked about it. That is called mobile first, security, integrity. A lot of different importance is there. I can't explain within this short time because we have to do practical as well. But I will tell you one thing, which is high availability and super fast experience. That is the main achievement for decoupling a WordPress site. Let me go through next. So what is actually AngularJS doing here? The AngularJS actually a content open source framework allowed to deal with JSON data. What we talked before, the API gives you a data which is understandable by a machine. Here, the AngularJS acts like a machine. So it is an application. So application like AngularJS can understand the response such as JSON response, which actually given by the REST API. So that is the main importance of AngularJS, and also it gives you a way of programming the content. Sometimes you don't need to show a content based on a logic. So you can do it very easily using this AngularJS framework. Also, this can provide you animation, chart, all those rich interactive interfaces which you need to present your data. Let's see how actually it works in real life. You see here, normally the user should send the request to the server directly, but rather sending request to the server, it's sending request to the Angular app. And Angular app actually sending that request to the REST API, and then REST API actually sending that request for processing into the server. Server see the authorization and authentication and all those logics and give back the response, and which is a JSON data, and that data sent back to the Angular app, and Angular app then converted that to HTML and sent back to the user. So this is the process. So this process actually doing only those portion of data is processing which you need, not all the data. So it increase the performance a lot. So this is the WordPress side, you can see, and this is the front-end client. So we have now different client and server. So server side is handling by WordPress, and front-end side is handling by Angular. So it's completely different application now. So that is called decoupling. So you decoupled the platform. Now, for doing this, you need to have this software in your machine, in your computer. You have to have a good code editor. I prefer you to use VS Code, because maybe in that if it is not available yet, but I believe it will be soon. But believe me, this is completely free. It is same like a Notepad++, but it will give you all this intelligence and code hinting support with a lot of functionality allowed to deploy an application in a remote server in real life. So there is no alternative. We will always use that because you have to use it. Otherwise, you can't deploy an application in a production server. And you have to have a runtime that is a software, and Git bash. So what Git bash allows to do, it will allow to give you access to the CLI in command line interface, and a server. You already know about that. WAMP. Who doesn't know about WAMP? Anyone, please? Everyone knows. Okay, that's great. So that you need, and also a Postman. This is a client to test the API response back, and also a software called install Node.js. So far we almost finished our theoretical part. So now I want you to guys, if you have any questions regarding this session, like theory section, you can ask me now, because we will go for practical now. Anyone have any question?
There are some like disadvantages of using it.
Now, advantages of using AngularJS or
Disadvantages.
Disadvantage. Okay, good. Of course, there is always
Because
some
I know already
disadvantages.
advantages.
Yeah, disadvantages is sometimes you do some. It is expensive. You can say it is expensive because you need more programmer to do these things, whereas you have more template ready. Otherwise, this is expensive, you can say. But disadvantages, like if you're not doing proper authentication and authorization in the front end, the data can be hacked. So that's another disadvantage. But advantage is, if you do properly, no one can hack it. You can guarantee it because there is no session back to the server. So it is token-based authentication authorization, but you have to implement that. Otherwise, your data is like open for everyone. Few disadvantages, but more like that. Anyone have any other question? No?
If someone uses Apple computers, what would they need to
Okay, the
install?
VS Code support Apple computers, because VS Code is a software which is multi-platform. All the software support Mac. That is the good news. So you have the Git. You don't need Git bash for the Mac, because Mac already has a terminal. So we need that terminal in Windows, because Windows doesn't have. That's why we install that. So, and then one alternative is Mac. And then there is Postman. Of course, Postman support Mac, and Node.js support Mac. So that's all. Anyone has any other question? Good. So let's jumping on our practical, okay? So doing practical, like if you want to develop your decouple the app, you need to ensure you have proper application or production server ready in your computer, okay? So anyone would like to come here, please? So I can show you, like you guys can do yourself, and I can just give you instruction. And you can do it by yourself, it's not difficult, okay? So anyone would like to come, please? Anyone? Come on.
Come on.
Come on, Robbie.
Mike, come on.
Okay, see, this is where you need to test. So there is a command called npm node PHP and composer. You don't need composer at this moment, but you need this. So if you have those, then you are ready basically for developing this app. Okay, so let me introduce how can you test it. So I told you a software called git bash just before. Please write git bash, git, yeah, enter. So, okay. Yeah, because I have to got everything. Awesome. So, can you just increase a little bit font size so everybody can see it? So write down, please, this command. Can I have one sheet? Okay. So if you see this practical sheet I gave you, so you have a command called npm-c, please. Dash v, space and dash v. Yeah,
V.
yeah, v. Awesome. So what it will give you, it will give you an information of what version of npm is installed. Why you need npm? Because you need to install AngularJS. And AngularJS is a node package module which actually installed by that application. And also I installed node module. So if you check ng space dash v and enter, and you can see there is a version of Angular is already been installed. So they call this Angular CLI. So this is called Angular command line interface. You may be afraid of command line interface, I understand. But please don't worry. It is very easy. It makes your life like 100% easier than a user interface. Because in real life, you don't have a server user interface. So while you hosting the application, you don't have access to there as a user interface, like clicking. You all have is this command line, and you have to upload and download all these things using this. Okay, now we will develop so this CLI actually allow to build an app, Angular app. So we will build an app in a particular folder, okay? Not anywhere. So we need to go to C drive, CD space C, colon. So if you write that command, it take you to the C drive, and then command do the second one, please. So it's explaining what it does. So it's ls give you a list of folder there. So my server is 164. You can see that 164. Can you go to the 164, please? CD. Yeah. So see, what's your name, my friend? Ali.
Yeah.
Ali is doing very good, you know. He just did go inside himself. So he know now Linux, okay? He know now command line, okay? So let's do the other one. So make ls. Yeah. So you can see he put an ls command, and now you can see the list of folder inside that one folder. My folder is called application folder, so you have to go to the inside that applications. So he is inside the applications. Now put ls again, please, so I can see what kind of application you have. So I already built 2 apps, but we will build another one. Okay. So this is API. API means there is a WordPress installed in this folder, and there is app mean Angular is installed here, and this is app meaning Angular is installed here, and API mean WordPress. So we have 2 WordPress installation and 2 Angular application. Now I want Ali to create a complete brand new application for us. Okay. So what he has to do, put this command called ng new space, then you put your name Ali-app. So now Ali is creating an app called Ali app. You have to wait. So this takes around 3 to 4 minutes because of your internet connection. So this is actually downloading all the files from the cache plus from the internet. So it's loading like 800 modules, JavaScript modules, automatically for you. So building an Angular app requires a lot of JavaScript files, like WordPress. When you download a WordPress, inside the WordPress have a lot of files, doesn't it? It has. So same way, when you installing a Angular app, it actually installing all the files and folder from the remote server folder. Okay. Now, while it is installing, let me show you something else. Let me minimize this one. Let him install himself. Now, why is my presentation gone? I can't even go. So you see here, I'll explain a little bit about how the JSON looks like. So when you going to the WordPress API, so we talked about API endpoint. When you send a request to that API, it like requesting endpoint is here. So we already been passed through that one, which is a lot of API already been developed when you installed a WordPress. Okay. So this is actually what I'm talking about. So let me show you when I go into this link, what it gives you. Okay? So if I go to this link, so I already have installed a WordPress in my computer, okay? So, and I don't want to install again because you all know how to install WordPress, aren't you? Everybody knows, so I don't want to spend one much time. But if you see here, that is saying api.wordpress. So we have actually API in the local environment. The name of the API is API WordPress.au. So, and then slash wp-json slash wp-v2 slash posts. So this is one of the links. Endpoint give you all the data like this. So this is a text formatted data, super fast to load. Now, we will use this data into the Angular app to make Angular app like rocket speed, you know what I mean? Like click and blink. Blink of your eyes, you get the content. So if you see here post /1, if you put 1, that give you particular number 1 post. The previous one give you all the posts, whereas the one, you put the 1, it give you particular 1 post. Now we will use this data and create our decoupled application. Now let me go back to our installation folder and see what's happened. Yeah, this is done. So can you put the ls please? So you can see what, so you can see now, there is a new folder for Ali-app. So now I'm requesting Ali to go inside that folder please, cd, then space, Ali-app. So he is now inside that folder. Remember, he is now inside that folder. Now, I want you to show you one thing, code editor, how work here. So if you install code, Visual Studio Code, the magic of that, write one command called code space dot and enter. So what, if you, I already put this command into the practical sheet, it will allow to open all of your project. See? The project is there and your code editor is here. Now, basically Ali is already installed a Angular app into my laptop in a production server. Now, there is a command called control+. So this allows you to open the command line into this code editor. So, yeah, so if you put the command plus and that, command and then this what is called tilde in a thing. So command this, okay. So this one allow to switch back. Okay, let me do this again. Sorry, I made a mistake. I have to put this one. This is not tilde. This is quote. Okay. It's a little bit slowing, yeah. It's slowing down somehow. Okay, you can do from the view as well. Command flag. You see that command flag? And then that will allow to do terminal actually. Sorry, again. Something happened with my computer. It doesn't allow me to open the command prompt, probably because it is VMware. But we can do the same thing here as well. So we have actually command prompt here, but it's supposed to open in that folder as well. So Okay, we will use the command panel we already here in the Git bash. So here or there in your computer you will able to open the command terminal in the code editor, but we will use here. This is the same command line interface. So the command will be ng-serve. So if you ng space serve, so if you do that, but we already have a running application, so we will close that. Maybe this is the reason because they are not allowing. So now the command is ng space serve, S-E-R-V-E. S-E-E-R-V-E.
Jason.
Yeah, V serve, my V pronunciation is V. V-E. Serve, yeah, serve. So what it does now, it's compacting all the file and creating a production application for you, just using that two words. So after it will build, so it is building now 10%. It will do 100%, take maybe 10-20 seconds. Then it will build for you a nice web app. And in that web interface, we will propagate those data. So what it is saying here, you see, it is saying Angular, see this line of Angular Live Development Server is listening on localhost 4200. So that is the link. You have to go and visit and see how it looks. Can you go here? Yeah. Open a new tab and put localhost :200. Yeah. So this is our app. Very simple. Nothing is here. It's a Angular 8, but we will get our WordPress data here. How? I will show you. Already been instructed here. If you see this. Practical papers. So in the middle of the page, saying understand Angular component and template. A little bit I'll explain it, and then we will do. So we will run the code editor. This is called Visual Code. We run the code editor because we need this code editor to be there. Otherwise, we can't. Actually, so this is a code editor. Yeah, now this is open. See, because the server was running on a different. It's going down. Yeah. Okay, let me see here. Because this is VMware. Something happened in case always, so it can't. So that's fine. Inconvenience, you can't reopen this one, reopen. It is saying reopen this one. Okay, that's it. Now here you can see the left hand side we have different folders. So we don't worry about any files now because this is huge list of files and folders there. Don't worry about them. We will talk about only two files. One file name is appcomponent.ts, appcomponent.html, okay? So if you go to the source folder, expand the source folder please, Ali, and then there is a folder named app. So this is the folder, we have 4 files. Forget about everything else. We will basically work on this file. So there is a file called appcomponent.spec.ts we will not use. So we left only 4 files. So what this file are, you can easily understand. This is a CSS file, this is HTML file, this is module file, and this is component file. This is the 4 files we will use to get data from Angular to here, okay? So for getting for getting WordPress data into the Angular, we need to send request. So in Angular, we have a nice engine to send a request and receive a response. That's called module. So whatever in the Angular, we have a huge list of modules here inside. If you expand that, it gives you like 900 modules. Now we will use few modules from there to get the data into a decoupled file. So what we saw before, big A is your decoupled file. And what we see there was a JSON formatted data was the API. So we have two different application running now. One is this, which is decoupled Angular app, and which behind we're running API is WordPress API. Okay, you get the idea? Now let's start getting this API data into our decoupled application. So for getting there, we will have to use one component, one module. Did I write down the name? No, I didn't, sorry. Oh, no, I put it there, yeah. So if you see here on the bottom, there is a module named HTTP client. On the first page, it's saying this is Angular module which allow to create request for getting data from the WordPress. So we will somehow have to add that module here somewhere to get response and send request, okay? Now, let's open the module folder first, module file first. Sorry. Yeah, so this is the main file, remember. This is the main file where you can inject module. So that's why it's named module. So you can inject module. We need a module called HTTP client module, you know. So this is called HTTP client, but there is a, so this is the HTTP client, which is a small part of a big module. So that big module has to be inserted here, okay? So whatever you inject, whatever component you added here, you have to import first. Import first into here, then you can use it later. So now let's import it here. So then the module name is called HTTP, write it down please. HTTP, it should write to capital, you know, capital letter. So in module, everything is capital, not the first letter is capital. Yeah. P and then capital C. Normally, this should give you an intelligence, but it doesn't. Something happened into my computer. I don't know what, but it give you an intelligence. If you writing down, it will give you rest of the name. Okay, but it is at the beginning. It will take some time, but that's the module name we have to add. So this is called HTTP client module. Once we add that, this is a big module. It has a lot of small functions and methods we will use for sending request and getting back the data. So if you go, so where we actually sending, from where we sending data and receiving the data, actually sending the request and receiving the data. So this is our module. The second file name is app components. If you click app components, please only, then this file actually is, you see this is the HTML main. Whatever inside this file, it can put that data into this template. So what this file is doing is combining HTML and CSS together. So now, basically, we are allowed to send a request from here. So component, it will send a request and receiving data, and module actually help us. It's helping you to use third-party library to provide those kinds of functionalities, okay? Now, I already write it down here. So in this component file, you have to write a constructor. I know it's a bit difficult for you at this moment because you didn't do this before, but don't worry if you don't understand. It will be very simple and easy. So write down this line of code, constructor, then bracket, constructor, small letter. You know, this is called case sensitive, you know. So if you do use, so this is called construction. If you use capital here, it will not allow to do something. Yeah. So then, all the way down on the base, all the way down in the page, there is a line of code saying constructor, then braces private HTTP colon HTTP client, and then curly bracket, and then write it down that's the declaration. So what you basically doing here is, can you make this small letter, please? Yeah, this should be simple. So what it does, it actually injecting this client. So this is has to be imported here. So this is called HTTP client. So that client help you to send request and receive data from WordPress. Now, if you do like here alter and enter, it should give you a component. So I'm not sure, this is browser is something happening. Normally if you add this line of code, it will import a line here automatically for you. So, but it is not doing somehow, but I can write it down manually for you. So the module we added there is called import. Here is a module called HTTP client module. The HTTP client, you see this client is coming up here? So now call from, and then it will give you call Angular at, and in this line of code, if you need to write it down in your page, you can write it down. But this is all you have to do every time in future when you writing any decoupled application. This is very similar, so you don't have to write anything else. So that's all. So what it is doing, there is a folder called Angular and there is a folder called Common. Inside that common folder, there is a client. There is a small functionality of files which allow you to access this method that will use later to send a request. That's all. So you have a predefined, you did JavaScript before, isn't it? So Java is like a JavaScript function there written down. Okay? So that function we are just importing here to send and receive the request. So I already given a code behind this page. So there is a code called IMG on init. So you have to write IMG on init, please. IMG on init. Yeah.
Capital I.
Yeah, capital IT and bracket, curly bracket, and then enter. Yeah, just enter, please. Yeah, and then write down this line of code. This.http get. Then bracket, then quote, yeah, and then write down this. This is what he is writing here as the API endpoint that we saw before. So this is the we are not. Yeah, we have education. I think you know what. We have another server in local team. I have few servers there. I told you before, so it's okay. API education.it, and that's wp-json / wp-v2 posts. So this is the int point, and put maybe one. Yeah, so it will give you only one post.
Yeah.
Now dot subscribe. So what actually subscribe means? What is the response you subscribing in a variable? So the variable name is response. I know it's bit difficult to understand this syntax, but once if I will get chance, I will explain you bit by bit. Okay, it's very easy. This is a simple concept because you have to do every time same again and again. Yes, curly bracket, yeah, enter. Yeah, that's it. Then this dot post is equal to response clone and enter console.log. So what this console log? So this post, we don't have this post here. What is this post mean? Is a post is a variable. We have to store this response. So the response somewhere we have, so that we have to store in here, which we will use later to propagate our application. So for getting that, so we have to declare a post variable before, but let him write down this code first. So there is a comma after the curly bracket. Yeah. Yeah. And space. And an arrow. Yeah, let him write down, I will explain it. So what actually doing? it's sending it's saying, okay, give data, get me data from number post 1, and there is some code inside which saying the response is a response variable, and then I'm saying please save that response in a post variable. So we have to declare that variable. We have only one variable here called title, but we have to have a variable where we can store that data. So we can say like this: post. You can write down because this is not inside the not inside the note, and this is called any mean. I will explain you. So this is a variable. I'm saying the post variable. I'm declaring the empty variable, initializing a variable which can be anything. That's how we write in Angular, and say whatever the response is, please store that. That's all. Now, remember, if you understand this, you can write any decouple application. Because what decouple application is writing the same thing again and again and again. So now we say something like here console.log this.post. Now we can test it. We can see that if we get this response properly or not, okay? So let's go to the browser. Yeah, save it please. Sorry, save it. Yeah, save it and save the other one as well. And then if you go to the browser, and if you go to the Ali app, right click anywhere, and inspect. So there is an arrow, you can see there is an arrow. The arrow saying HTTP client module is not defined. Because that import statement in the module, we didn't do that. So what we missed actually, because the code editor should automatically add, but we couldn't did it. So see this here, HTTP client module we added here, but we didn't import it anywhere. So where these things come from? This program does not understand now. Where did it come from? What is this? Now we have normally IntelliSense should add automatically, but here something happened, it is not working, so we will manually add that import statement. Please write it down, Ali. Yeah, third line. Yeah. Import, and then saying second bracket. This is coming up automatically, and but it should give the rest of them. But something, yeah, just this. So normally, I think there is a problem with internet here or something. It doesn't like to have those auto adding statement. Sorry for that, guys, but still you need to understand what is this. This means you are exporting a functionalities from a file which you are using here. That's all. Now, if you save that, now if you go here, the arrow should be gone, Yeah, and then you see there is a console here, and you can see all the data is here. So basically, you getting data from WordPress to your decouple site. Now we use that data and put it here. Okay, and that's all we do today. So let's do that part. It's easy. The difficult part is done. So we have an app component. Remember, this is the component actually connecting together your HTML template. Okay. So see the template name is here. So the variable post can be accessed inside this template. Okay, we just one line of code and we finish. So if you see HTML, we have a lot of things. Delete all of them, please. This is all the code. Control A and delete. So this is all the code showing big A, So we're deleting all of them, and now write something. HTML, please. H1. No, you don't need to write HTML tag here. You don't. See, now it is IntelliSense is working. I don't know if it's crazy. H1, just H1 and put something there and H1 closing. Save it, please. And go to the browser. See, you can see this on. See, it automatically loaded. So it's working. Now we will put the dynamic data. So what dynamic data we have? We can check it from here. So we have a title. You see, we have a title somewhere. Can you go down, Ali, please? should be there is a title, okay. There is a title, you see that? And there is a title. If you can click on the title, please. You can, it's very small, eh?
Yeah.
You click on the title, I can increase it for you.
I can, it's right there.
Yeah, right there, yeah. You see? So the title, what is
Just
that?
press cancel. Just press cancel.
Okay. So what is here? It's saying the title has another property called rendered. So you have to call it like this: title dot rendered. Then it will give you this value. So let's do that. Go to the app code editor, please, and put here a double curly bracket, please.
Okay, right
And double curly bracket. Not delete all of them. Yes. Control Z. Yeah, and just delete the text, you know, and then put. Yeah, yeah. One more. Yeah. And this side as well, opening one. Yeah. Okay, not side by side. It should be like this. Okay, yes, okay, it's fine. It's very fine. It's good because this is how actually application recognize that something inside is coming from Angular variable, you know. So you can put like this: post, POST post. So we have post variable dot called title dot rendered.
Remember.
ED. Yeah. Save it. Is it? Yeah. And then if you go to the browser, and it should give you the title of. Okay, maybe I will. Yeah, it's still complaining. It's give the data, but there is some complaint, you know.
Oh snap.
So
Sorry.
okay, press that. Yeah, it's coming up. See that this is dynamic data coming from the WordPress. You can use another tag,
Yeah, sure.
which is called. If you can check it, if you inspect now, we're almost finishing the time. So it is something actually complaining. You know what it is complaining. Maybe we did some typo. You know. It's saying rendered of undefined. You see that? Rendered of undefined. Why? So it is a little bit of funny. So if we go here, and basically what happening here is when the page is loaded, at that moment this data is not coming. So this data is coming a little bit later, then the page is loaded. So that's why that complaint. So what we can do, there is a way to solve that, but we will not do it now. We can call it post ng if, you know, ng if. So they call ng if. It's ng if is equal to post dot title, you know, or maybe you can say post dot txt. So what it does, it's saying if the post dot title is available, then render. If it is not, do not render it. My computer has received that issue in here. So because this, I know what's happening. This is like a issue for issue with virtual, because this is a virtual machine. Remember, we are using VMware. Okay. So that's why it is somehow making some issue. I will give you some. So let me fix that. So this is why we say put the post title is there, then you put this render, then it should be okay. It's coming up, but it takes some time. Okay, that's it. So few debugs in my computer because I'm running on VMware, so that's why it's sometimes doing some strange thing. But now you guys understand what is decoupling. We send a request, receive a data using Angular. So we decoupled application. We are not anymore in the WordPress. So thank you, Ali. Thank you so much for your cooperation.
No worries.
Now, guys. Yeah. So you guys have any question at the end, please? I know it is a little bit distracted. Sometimes software doesn't act what's supposed to be.
Maybe next week.
So, yeah, guys, you have any question, please?
That was good.
You can ask any question you want. If not, then write down the answer, please, which I was asked you. Please. So that's what we did today. REST API is a middleware or communicator between the client and machine and server. REST API is the key up to the communication for modern IoT devices. WordPress is a sophisticated CMS having a lot of application integrated plugins developed by many developers. WordPress provides REST services endpoint dynamically, make developer life very easy, and open the door for any machine to communicate with it. Angular JS6 is one of the best modern JavaScript framework, can handle JSON and REST services very convenient way. How Angular JS decoupled WordPress we understood, and decoupling provides interactive and super fast user experience. And we discussed about how to prepare the development environment, but we couldn't able to show because of time. CLI implication and introduced to the decoupling theming, decoupled theming. So that's all about today. Have a lovely day, everybody.
Okay, well, could you please complete